Everybody, welcome to my channel, Be Free Now with Maria. So today, before we begin, I want to mention that this Saturday, I'll be doing a workshop on self-forgiveness. We'll be addressing shame, regret, self-blame, and we're going to do an exercise. So it's a hands-on workshop. And ultimately, the goal is to shift, right, from how we see ourselves, how we treat ourselves, and how we deal, right, with these emotions. So if you're interested, you can go to my website to register. It is www.bfreenowwith no, excuse me, www.bfreenowllc.com, and that's B without the E. Okay, so now I'm going to begin with my bag of words and see what I'm inspired to share. Let's see. We're going to shake this bag really good, see what we have today. All right. Okay. So two came out right away. First one, faith. And the next one is love. Okay. So faith and love. Two more just popped out. Oh, abandonment and disappointment. Oh, wow. All right. This feels deep. Okay. So, and disappointment. So abandonment, disappointment, love, and faith. I'm going to start with abandonment because that's an emotion that a lot of us feel throughout at some point in our lives, whether consciously or unconsciously. In other words, things happen in our lives, our needs aren't met, and we tend to feel emotionally abandoned when our emotional needs aren't being met, regardless of our parents' intentions or our caregivers' intentions or whoever we have the experience with. Regardless of their intentions, if our needs aren't met, we are going to feel emotionally abandoned, and that's going to lead to us feeling disappointed, right? Not only in the other person, but even in ourselves, because we tend to personalize when things happen, right? So if somebody reacts a certain way or doesn't show up for us a certain way, we tend to personalize and start to create a story about how they feel about us and our worth, and from there we spin right into more negative thoughts or beliefs about ourselves, and the disappointment then starts to grow, right? And how the disappointment that we have for them, and the disappointment in ourselves when we feel that we're not enough, we're not meeting up, or it's because of us, right, that we're being abandoned. So when we blame ourselves. So those, right, are the some of the things anyway that can lead to us feeling emotionally abandoned. And when we start to work through that, then we are able to start to create a shift. And when I mean work through it, it's many different things that we can do, but in particularly addressing it, not just pretending, right, that things are fine when they're not fine, because sometimes we may not know that we're feeling abandoned in that moment because we're not consciously connecting with that old feeling or remembering that old wound. But we know that we're feeling off, that there's something not right, that we're feeling emotionally heavy. And when we take time to address that, we're able to uncover the layers behind what we're feeling in this present moment. And sometimes, yes, we are able to realize that we're holding on to a feeling of abandonment. And when we make that connection, right, then we're able to work through that. In other words, be able to express that frustration, and to be able to release it, as opposed to holding it inside. And we can do that with our journal, right? We could express it into our journal. We don't necessarily have to call the person and say, hey, remember when, because they may not remember it or may not be able to still give us what we need in that moment. But we can do that in our own private space and be able to express our frustration, our disappointment, our sadness, or whatever other emotion we're able to connect with in relation to the situation. And through that, right, we start to allow ourselves to release it, as opposed to holding it all inside and allowing it to build up. So we want to create a shift. And the second thing that we want to do is be more loving with ourselves, right? So in order to build and to feel more loved, or to build love within ourselves, we want to practice being more gentle with ourselves and supporting any part of us that's feeling sad. In other words, I am here for you is something that we can say, right, to any wounded part of ourselves that is feeling emotionally heavy. It goes a long way, when we support that part of ourselves. And last but not least, right, it's the word faith that came up for us. Now, faith is something, right, that we have, even though we cannot see, right, the outcome or the possible experience that we desire, right, we hold on to faith, which is this belief, right, that somehow there is something good going to come from it. Whenever we're doing any emotional work, it's going to feel heavy, and sometimes we're going to get discouraged, right? But when we hold on to faith, right, that this is going to help us shift, because we're not just allowing it to stay stagnant, we're moving this information, right? So something has to happen with it. And when we give ourselves, right, permission to move this, right, because we have this faith that we are going to create a shift within ourselves, we're able to give ourselves the courage to continue with the work, even if we're feeling overwhelmed by it at times, right? And we start to learn, right, to find ways to build trust within ourselves, to trust that we can have an emotion and be able to manage that emotion, to trust that we can sit with ourselves, to journal, and to be able to work through that, or try any modality that works for you as a person, but knowing, right, and having that faith that, yes, I can do this. Right? I may not know exactly how many doors this is going to open for me emotionally, or how many things I'm going to be able to release, but I know that this is going to create a shift for me. And knowing that, right, and having faith in that is going to be able to, it's going to allow us to be able to find the courage and to challenge ourselves, as opposed to staying comfortable with the familiar that is not really giving us what we want. So before I go any further, I want to pick a card. So I'm going to pick the top card from the Untethered deck, which is the Untethered Soul. Love this deck. And the card on the top is true personal growth is about transcending the part of you that is not okay and needs protection. That's beautiful, because it really goes with what I'm talking about, right? That it's that true, right? I'm going to read it again. It's true personal growth is about transcending the part of you that is not okay and needs protection. That's right. We want to address that part of us so that we can have that personal growth. It is not right. If we're not okay, we want to admit that, because when we don't, it just keeps us spinning in that hamster wheel, feeling yucky, going over the same experiences over and over and over again. And then we're wondering, right, why do I keep on falling into this or having this same experience? That's because the work hasn't been done, right? The awareness and the shift hasn't taken place. And so therefore we keep on repeating it. So that's something to remember. And I also want to mention, as I'm thinking back now on faith, which is having faith also in the unseen, not only in relation to where our work can take us, but what else, right, may be going on around us spiritually. A lot of times when we're going through things, we're focusing on how we don't want to do it, and not so much on the fact that, there are spiritual lessons that we are here to learn. And when we have faith in the divine, or in this process, in the journey, or in the experience of life, and not necessarily see it as like so horrible or so bad that we have to have experiences or that we have emotions, and we accept them, right, as part of the human experience, and understanding that there's this spiritual lesson that we need to have, and that the divine lives and breathes through us, and there's no place God is not, right? That we are surrounded with this divine support, and that we can tap into that as well. We can access it. We can ask it for help. We can connect with it in any way that feels natural to us and feels supportive to us, and use that as well, and having faith in the unseen in that way as well. So I'm going to end with that. I hope that this video helps you in some way. If it did, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.